Hello guys, today I'm doing a $1,100 gaming PC build, almost $1,100, but yeah, let's begin. For the CPU, I'm going with the same CPU I went with in my $800 build, the Ryzen 5 3600. It is a very powerful CPU. At this point it is almost on par with anything Intel has to offer, and in terms of 4K, 1440p, 1080p gaming for all those resolutions, is more than capable of handling what needs to be done. So yeah, basically I'm going with the if it ain't broke don't fix it mantra with this. So yeah, CPU Ryzen 5 3600, can't go wrong with it. Alright, so for the motherboard I went with the Gigabyte B450M DS3H. I've recommended this motherboard for the past 3 videos now, but again, just like with the CPU, if it ain't broke don't fix it. For the price point that it offers, it gives you a lot of options. This motherboard, you can install 2 graphics cards, a Wi-Fi card, an NVMe drive for hard drive space, comes with SATA 3 ports for additional SSD mounting, and has 4 slots for RAM. It can support a variety of CPU coolers, and it has plenty of power phase connectors in order to support overclocking to a small degree. You could definitely overclock the 3600 to 4 GHz, and it should be fine with this motherboard. It is a B450, so some of them may not come with the BIOS you need for the Ryzen 3000 CPUs. Make sure that you do get the one with the latest latest BIOS. If it doesn't, you can always just return it to Amazon and buy another one. Or you could, if you have a spare first gen Ryzen CPU, even a small cheap one like a Ryzen 3 1200 laying around, you can use that to update the BIOS and then install the CPU that you need. So yeah, for what it offers, yeah, this motherboard is pretty great. Now moving on. Alright, so moving on to the RAM, I chose the Patriot Viper Steel 16GB of DDR4. It comes in a single stick of 16GB. Again, it's the same RAM I recommended before, but for all our needs, it's more than enough. It's 3200 MHz, which is enough for Ryzen, especially the 3000 series, and has a base timing latency of 15 with tested timings of 16. So that's your basic standard RAM for $68. So far when I checked the price, it was $68 still, so I figured why not go with the same RAM stick. This does give you plenty of options to upgrade since you have 4 RAM slots, so you can have 4 sticks of 16 up to 64 GB of RAM, which is plenty. I would recommend, if you are going to upgrade this build in the future, I would upgrade the motherboard first, because while it is a capable B450 motherboard, it's still on the cheap side. The biggest problem from my recommendations is that the B550s are not out yet, and most other B450 motherboards were overly priced. Like, there wasn't a good motherboard under $100 other than the DS3H. So in the future, if you're going to upgrade the RAM, upgrade the motherboard first, then the RAM. But by the time you do need to upgrade, AMD will have the AM5 motherboards out, so I don't think that should be an issue. But anyways, yeah, 16 gigs, Patriot Viper Steel, can't go wrong with this at this point in time. Alright, so for the GPU, I went with the RX 5700 XT Red Devil 8GB GPU. I wanted a GPU that was significantly more powerful than the 1660 Ti I recommended in my $800 build. The main difference between the previous build and this one actually comes down to the GPU. I want a GPU that does 1440p commonly, as in like 1440, it can do 2K no problem, and even dip into 4K if the game is optimized enough. Basically a huge difference up from the 1660 Ti. And for the price range that I was choosing, I was hoping for only $100 more, so it could fit into a $1,000 budget, but GPU prices right now are not at a good place. I mean, they haven't been good since 2018 when RTX came out. But even right now, with the whole pandemic going on, it is pretty hard to find a cheap GPU, which is somewhat surprising, but not really, because everyone's locked indoors and, you know, they're trying to build their PC since they're stuck inside. This is one of the cheaper RX 5700 that I found, which is pretty ironic considering it's a high quality Red Devil edition. at $440. It's a bit pricey, but it's powerful. It is a PCIe 4.0 GPU, which I think is a little bit overkill for the motherboard, but in terms of performance in most games, it should not be an issue that you're using a PCIe 3.0 motherboard. In the future you can upgrade the motherboard like I said before, but upgrading this machine, you would not need to do that for a long time. And by the time a GPU does come around that does require PCIe 4.0, I predict that'll be like 3-4 years from now. I don't think this GPU would be the one you want to upgrade to at that point in time. But in terms of its performance, yeah, it's 7nm RDNA. AMD has a good track record of doing driver updates on their GPUs, which give them a lot more performance, and I expect that to be the same to happen for RDNA. It is 8GB GDDR6. It's clocked almost up to 2 GHz, which is pretty impressive for a GPU. It plays almost everything at 1440p 60 at high or ultra settings, and some things even at 4K. I have a benchmarks video in the description box below if you want to check it out. Anyways, this is what I chose for the GPU. If the prices were down a little bit more, because I expected this, when this card launched, it was less than $400. So it's a real shame that it's more expensive now than when it launched. But if the prices were lower, I definitely would have recommended a better motherboard. But I mean, for the price range, it's good enough. It's good enough to get the job done. So there you have it. Alright, so for storage, I went with the Silicon Power 1TB NVMe. If you want to save a little bit of money, you can downgrade this to the 500GB model, but for a $1,000 PC, I don't think you want anything less than 1TB. I recommended this storage device on my last video, and it's the same case here. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's one of the faster PCIe 3.0 NVMe's on the market right now, so it's a good choice all around for your hard drive need. Alright, so moving on to the PSU. This time I wanted a PSU that could last a long time, something that was reliable as well as powerful. I went with the CORSAIR TXM series 550 watt 80 plus gold certified PSU. It is a bit on the pricey side at $95, but for a build this expensive, you want something that will last a long time and is reliable. You want a power supply that can keep up with all your future upgrades, as well as have the reliability, the warranty to maintain itself, you know, not break down or explode when you're using it. And the power supply used in my previous builds was a 80 plus white, which was not a very good power supply. I recommended that all the way down to my $350 build, so that just shows how outdated that power supply was. Well, not outdated, but how unqualified it was. This one is what I wanted to upgrade to, and since we are, you know, increasing the price a bit, I figured why not go all out and get an 80 plus gold. So yeah, here we have the PSU, and then finally is the PC case. So for the case, I went with the Thermaltake V200 RGB edition mid-tower ATX case at $80. A lot of my previous cases have had the issue of being overly cheap and they may not have enough airflow. So this time I wanted to upgrade to one that does have a lot of airflow. It comes with 4 fans, 1 in the back and 3 in the front. It has a lot of room inside. It's very spacious, plenty of room for air cooling as well as future water cooling upgrades if you choose to do so. You can support a mini ATX, micro ATX and ATX motherboards, and it's a good case. Like, I can't lie, it's a good case. It'll last you a very long time and is very upgradable and modular. So yeah, so my final thoughts on the build. The total cost comes to $1,061, so roughly $1,100. A lot of the financial upgrades went to the GPU compared to my $800 build, and a little bit on the power supply and case because it needs a good airflow for a build this high end, as well as a good power supply to keep it running without any issues. Okay, so the motherboard does come to $73. I didn't really have time to research the motherboard upgrade options. I did mention this before, the motherboard is a bit on the cheap side. If you do want a better B450 or even an X470, maybe even an an X570 motherboard. You do have roughly $39 left over, so you can upgrade the motherboard for a better item. Since it is late at night, I'm not going to go and look up options. I mean, you can just do a quick Amazon check and find one. So yeah, here's the $1,100 build. After this, I'm going to go for a $200 PC build for the month of May, which should come around maybe the next weekend. So far, most of my builds have been Amazon oriented, but I'm going to go into used parts a little bit more, as well as into different websites such as eBay, AliExpress, and other sites to get cheaper deals, so I can show you guys better builds. I'm going to be doing these PC builds maybe twice a week. In some weeks, other weeks maybe once a week, because I do want to have time for my Python tutorial videos for my Python project. So yeah, that's all I really want to go over. Peace out, guys.